Welcome. Yeah, that's right. We're back. We did not die. We are still alive. In fact, there is a pulse coursing through these veins here. Welcome back to the Two Pad Stack, episode 76. It's an exciting one. We're back in the saddle, talking all things Boston Bruins, talking about a little bit of our summer, as well as, what else has been going on in our lives. I'm your host, Ace. Alongside me, my wonderful co-host Jake Reiser. Jake, how's it going, buddy? How have you been?
Dude, I'm feeling great, man. It feels good to be back in the saddle. It's weird that, when we release this, it will be September. Preseason and training camp is kind of underway. It's honestly been a great summer, so I'm kind of like wanting to want this to go away, but, happy to be back. How are you, dude?
Man, it has been a hectic summer. And I have been, you imagine summer as like, I don't know, beaches and going to the lake and all of those fun things. I haven't really had much of an opportunity to do those things, man. Like we did our first international trip as a family, which was a lot of fun. My older daughter just had her 12th birthday, so celebrating that. My younger daughter has been on the hockey training circuit this summer, really trying to hone her craft and become an elite athlete. It's been so fun. And I'll tell you what, though, I'm ready for the Boston Bruins season to be back, man. I am ready to watch the black and gold on a daily basis. What have you been doing during the offseason? It seems like you're a big Red Sox guy, aren't you? And this has been a fun
Yes,
season for the Sox.
sir. It's been good. You can catch me at Over the Monster as well as Stanley Cup of Chowder for other Bruins coverage, but Over the Monster for Red Sox. I've been at Fenway for a couple games. Been a lot of fun watching the season. Not a lot of travel. I was just in Everett, Washington for one of my best friend's weddings. V, if you're watching this, love you. Had a great time last weekend. But I've mainly been home because I got a puppy over the summer. So I've been taking care of a little pup, getting her raised, getting her trained, and it's been an absolute blast. If only Fenway had bark in the park, then everything would be perfect. But, it's been a really good summer on that front all the way around.
Yeah, I mean, we ended up packing up and going over to Ireland for a week. All four of us, me, the wife, and the two daughters, and that was such a treat. Like, this is kind of funny. Like the best part of that trip for me was probably when I ended up going to a local pub after the girls were all settled in, and it was the hurling championships in Ireland. And believe it or not, that's not just vomiting after you drink too much in Ireland. That is a sport called hurling.
It's like a crazy, like hybrid lacrosse, baseball, soccer, like insane sport. I've seen it. It's wild.
Some of the coolest stuff. They actually played at Fenway Park like 8 years ago. There was like a hurling match at Fenway Park. But I was there in Dublin when Dublin was hosting Cork for the Irish League semifinals. And I'm walking around downtown Dublin, like, what are all these soccer jerseys? They're not soccer jerseys, they're hurling jerseys. And, it looks similar to like soccer or like rugby jerseys. It was fascinating to me. And like hanging out with the locals, it was really enlightening. I was able to like sit at a bar with people I was drinking a Guinness, and I was able to ask them like, well, like, how many steps can you take with the ball in your hand before you have to hit it with the club, and like all the like technicalities of the game. And I have a pretty good grasp on it, and I really actually find the sport fascinating, and I would love to see it kind of be picked up here in the States. Kind of curious, what do we have to do in order to get this thing? I don't know. It's not that big of a deal, but it was a fun time learning about a brand new sport over there in Ireland. And I'm like, man, if these guys could do hockey, like these guys would have a grand old time with ice hockey. Like the only team that they have over there is like in Northern Ireland in Belfast.
Right, the Belfast Giants.
Correct. Who the Boston Bruins played in a exhibition game in 2011 before the season when they won the cup that year. And I think Sean Thornton was a big linchpin on making that happen there. With his relationship with the team, which was...
I just saw Thornton got a new job, actually. Congrats to him. Yeah, he's left the hockey world. He moved on from Florida Panthers. He now works in the front office for the Atlanta Hawks.
Really? That's fascinating. I did not know that. Okay. So speaking of new beginnings, so the Two Pad Stack, we were previously associated with Fans First Sports Network. We made a couple changes in the past couple of years. But previously, before THPN, we were associated with a network called the Hockey Podcast Network. And if you are watching this on YouTube, you've probably already noticed our overlay is a little different as we get gearing up for the 25. Yeah, yep, right over here, up here. Yep, right there. Oh no, hold on, right here. There we go.
There you go. Got it.
There we go. We got there eventually. We are back with THPN, the Hockey Podcast Network, this year. So we're very excited to be partnering with them again for the 25-26 season. We are making this adjustment to support the podcast for future growth and in order to collaborate with other like-minded podcasters that could potentially, offer us opportunities of bringing in perspectives from other teams around the league as we break down future Boston Bruins content, as well as, hey, at this point, nobody thinks the Bruins are going to make the postseason. What are we going to talk about when the playoffs start if the Bruins aren't going to make it? So that'll be fascinating. Been here before. We already have a lot of good relationships, and we're excited for the future. Any thoughts on the move back to THPN, Jake?
It's not a move back for me. I wasn't a part of you guys with you and Berg before you were at THPN. I've always been at Fans First, so I'm excited to see what opportunities this new network holds. I think it'll be a really cool opportunity for us to meet new people. We'll hopefully get a lot of collaboration in. You'll hear a lot of different perspectives, a lot of different voices. I think it's a cool community, and I think you guys are going to see a lot of cool content from us this season.
For sure. It's going to be a crazy fall and winter. I mean, we went on a big hike this morning and I'm already seeing the leaves changing on that hike. So fall is here. Hockey season's here. Like Amelia's season is already starting next week. Our practice begins on Tuesday and Wednesday. We have our first game next weekend. So, the Boston Bruins season may not begin, but, hockey season's here, baby. And it's ready. We're ready to go.
With that, we'll give you all the caveat to our production schedule. It might get a little funky. Life always gets in the way, so we're going to do our best to get you content as much as we can. But, between hockey practice and being a dad and being a dog dad and everything, life might get in the way, but we'll always do our best for you. We hope you know that. Yeah,
we're going to try to adhere to the weekly schedule, starting at least when, preseason, the regular season starts. But, we'll definitely do our best on that front. So, speaking of the Boston Bruins, which is what we're all here to talk about, it's been kind of an interesting offseason here, post free agency, which I want to break down the free agent moves because we haven't had a chance to talk about that. I know it's kind of old news for all of you that are like diehard Bruins fans now, but if you're just kind of paying attention to the Two Pad Stack podcast, we haven't really provided our perspective yet on the free agency moves. But I want to kind of get your thoughts as we gear up for the training camp, which is right around the corner. You can expect the Bruins to be showing up at Warrior Ice Arena, whether it's for the rookie tournament that's happening in Buffalo and whether it's for training camp itself. I haven't heard much about like captain's practices or anything like that, but there's going to be a lot of battles going on. There's a lot of question marks for this Boston Bruins roster here going into the 25-26 season. And mainly that's going to be happening up front. So I'm interested in getting your thoughts. Jake, who is your number one center going into camp right now?
That is such a hard question to answer because it's a big battle. Do you go with the guy who has been established, who's been on this team for a few years? Do you go with the guy? I need to see how much younger one is compared to the other, but do you go with I know, ostensibly younger guy who maybe has the opportunity to step up? He played pretty well towards the end of last year as an acquisition, be in a better role. That's between Pavel Zacha and Casey Middlestat. Middlestat's 2 years younger than Pavel Zacha. And I think if I'm going with my gut right now.
And then what about Elias Lindholm too? Like, do we just plug in Elias Lindholm there automatically?
I don't know if you put in Elias Lindholm there automatically. I think maybe what ends up happening is Middlestat ends up being your top line center with Pasternak, and then Lindholm gets to be second line center and he moves Zacha back to the wing. That might be a more fruitful position for him. I Zacha is on the team because there's been the rumors all summer. Is Zacha going? Who knows? Yeah. But I think that's my thought. Is you have Middlestat, who's probably a speedier forward than Elias Lindholm right now, and still enough of a playmaker. Maybe not as like a more dramatic a playmaker as Elias Lindholm is, but I think would be a really good pair with Pasternak.
Yeah, that's a good point. I do think that I'm still leaning that I want Elias Lindholm in the top line pivot position at center because I feel like, I mean, we saw it in the World Cup of Hockey. He was a pretty good player there. And then in the World Championships after the season, Elias Lindholm was like a dominant player. He was almost, I think he was like tied with David Pasternak in scoring in that tournament. Like, I really wonder if maybe our perspective about Elias Lindholm has been tarnished because of his injury that happened in the previous training camp.
It could be very well skewed because what was the World Championship? 7 games, 8 games, something like that. Maybe it was like, I don't know. It's back and forth. Maybe the 8 games could really skew us to what he is over the course of an 82 game season. But that back injury, only hearing about that after the season ended, definitely a little weird. Like, I would rather have him taken like a month off, a month or 2 off, and just, if they were going to tank the season, really embrace that, let him heal, and then he might have had a better season the rest of the way and maybe garner it a little more like, okay, this guy can play. Because you're right. I think the injury just really hampered, not Hampus like Hamper, but the other Lindholm. I think it really just hampered what we think about Elias Lindholm. And so who knows what the real Elias Lindholm is right now. But if it's the one that was at the World Championships, maybe he is the 1C. But if it's the guy who was in the Bruins last year, then I'm going Middlestat.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating because I think if you can go Lindholm, Middlestat, I think you're right. I think you put Zaka on the wing. And I think I would probably put Zaka, and this hurts me. Like maybe not now that I say it out loud, but like I would like to put Zaka on the opposite of Pasternak, but then that takes away the geeky Pasternak chemistry. So,
Right.
but then you have the Zaka Pasta Czech chemistry, which was already established too. So
Right.
that's an interesting wrinkle here.
And then where do you put
Um,
Patra? Does Patra make the team? Is Patra now expendable? Do you have Fraser
I don't
Minton? They
know.
re-signed Sean Corrali.
I
Like,
think Fraser
even
Minton's best
depth-wise,
for
there's a
like
lot of
3C.
centers on this team.
I like Fraser Minton as the third line center right now. I think that
Yeah.
he will win that battle, and I think that he brings that two-way presence. He's and I feel like it's the lazy thing to do, but
Yeah.
I see a lot of Patrice Bergeron in Fraser Minton's game, like a lot of that defensively responsible, but
Mm-hmm.
still somewhat competent offensive player in Fraser Minton. So I really do think that there's some viable upside there. I mean, I would say Fraser Minton's probably the number 2 prospect in the entire Boston Bruins system right now.
Yeah, I
Like,
don't disagree with that.
not named James Higgins, right? Like, I mean, I know Will Moore is pretty highly regarded across the Bruins org, but Fraser Minton, it was the crown jewel in that Brandon Carlo trade. So, other
Yeah.
than that first round pick that they acquired, but
I'll
like,
be very intrigued to see what those first round picks come out to, which I don't know if we gave this shout out to the Florida Panthers for going ahead and doing what they did, because instead of having a 2028 first round pick, or pardon me, it was a 2028 second round pick. Is it a 27 first round pick now or something
yes, it
like that?
is. Yep.
And that's because of the conditions in the Marchand trade, which, you know what? Thank God that happened. So now the deck feels really stacked in our favor draft capital wise.
So now that Martian has extended, let's pivot here a little bit.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Brad Marchand's legacy with the Boston Bruins?
Look,
What does Brad Marchand mean to you?
he will always be our rat. He'll always be the guy, the scrappy guy who came up in 2011. We will never forget the goal against Roberto Luongo in Game 3 of the finals. We'll never forget his antics, his little hip checks on the Sedins, him flipping. I think was it Alex Edler. He hip checked Alex Edler over him. Like we'll never forget the shit that he did for us. He's an awesome dude. Great captain, great chemistry. The perfection line is probably one of the best lines in modern hockey. In the last 20, 25 years. He went out when he needed to, and that's totally fine. I view it similarly to Zdeno Chara. Is it insane the extension he signed with Florida? Absolutely. Credit to Marchand for negotiating how the hell he did that with Florida. Marchand's what, 36, 37, something like that. So good for him for negotiating that deal. But I view it the same way as Chara. Like, there were other spots that needed to get filled in there. He clearly realized that he didn't have a role on this team and wanted to go somewhere else and win a cup. Fine by me. So credit to him. I'll always love the dude, always a great guy. I don't have any ill will towards it.
Yeah, that's the thing for me is like I feel like the agent played a bigger role in this than he needed to. And it hurts me as a lifetime Boston Bruins fan. Like I literally bleed black and gold. Like I have Bruins tattoos all over my arm. Like there you go. You got Blastoise there, rocking the Bruins jersey and goalie pads. Like, come on, man. Like the easiest solution was and the easiest solution is just paying him what he's worth and on a team friendly term. Brad, look at what your predecessors did. Look at what Patrice Bergeron did.
The one
Look at what
year, like
Zdeno
2 or
Chara
3
did.
mil, just keep
Look at
in
what Dave
line.
Krejci did. Like every
Yep.
one of your predecessors took that bonus laden 1-year deal and they prioritized the team success over their individual success. And I just wonder if the agent here, especially coming off a strong Four Nations performance from Brad Marchand, was like, Brad, like, let's maximize our earnings here. Let's go ahead and get it. Because it was widely reported that he had a massive offer. I won't call it massive. It's not like it's like game breaking or anything like that. But he had like a 3 or 4 year deal on the table for over $6 million from the Boston Bruins. And if I am the guy that wears the C, that takes pride in being the captain and the ambassador of an original six franchise, which he always did, he always seemed to do that. I signed that deal. I signed it. And I say thank you, Charlie and Jeremy Jacobs, for allowing me the opportunity to continue my relationship as the captain of the Boston Bruins as we try to redeem ourselves for this abysmal performance in 24-25.
So you already just marked the difference between the rest of those guys and where Brad was at, and it's the team situation. Those guys were probably much happier to sign 1 year low AAV deals because the team was good. The team was in contention to win cups, and if they could win a cup as a Boston Bruin and maintain their legacy, it was win-win-win all the way around for them. Chara could have won another cup in 2019. Bergeron could have won another cup in 2019. They could have won another cup in 2020 during the bubble. They had more opportunities than not. They made the playoffs just about every single year. I think that this was the first year since 2015-16 that they didn't make the playoffs. So those were opportunities where I would have been much happy to say, you know what? Fuck it. I'll sign in 1 year. We have a great chance. We can go out and sign some guys and make another push for the cup because we're still a good team. Marshy, he probably took a look at this team and said, this is a bunch of fucking scrubs. Like, no offense. Like, I love Pasta. I love my dude. There are some good guys on this team. But where are we fucking headed, man? Like, there's no direction for this team going forward. And so, look, I don't blame them. Sometimes you got to put your personal stuff over pride for the team, But granted, Boston is a big city loyalty, and I know that his legacy here will be divisive amongst different fans. I'm sure some of you listen and be like, fuck this dude. I can't believe he left the city. I can't believe he did it dirty like that. But these guys are players. They got to think about themselves at the end of the day. So I harbor no ill will with it.
I mean, I think that this decision is very on brand for Brad Marchand. Brad Marchand has always been, everyone has doubted me. I'm going to do things my own way and carve out my own career. I have always maintained, I mean, maybe you'll get me on this podcast saying something different at one point in the past, but I have always felt deep down that Brad Marchand is not a captain. I think that Brad Marchand is an emotional leader for whatever team he is on. He will drag that team into the fight when he is playing his game. When he tries to emulate a Patrice Bergeron or as a Zdeno Chara, it doesn't work because he's not that player. Brad Marchand only succeeded in the NHL because he was that in the trenches rat style player that absolutely pisses off the opposition. Mm-hmm. As soon as the Boston Bruins stapled that C onto his chest, he was trying to play like a player that he wasn't. And he never has been. right? And I think that's because he had so much respect for the organization that he wanted to be a good ambassador and a steward of the Spoke B. But as soon as you put that C on his chest, you neutered Brad Marchand. And it was not the same player that carved his way into a top tier NHL player and an Olympian, man. Like, this guy's going to be on the Olympic team. Like, it's true.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have that same edge, that same I don't give a fuck nature that makes Brad Marchand Brad Marchand. And you
And then he
saw
tried to
that.
go to Florida.
You
And
saw
look
it
what
as soon as he joined the Panthers.
it took. He got his edge back. He wasn't relied on to be the leader. He wasn't relied on to be a captain. He was just relied on to be the guy that he's always been. The guy who will get under your skin. The guy who will do crazy shit to score good goals. He looked awesome in the playoffs. So it was the wrong situation. So I'll give him credit for pulling him out of it. But I think it leads into a good discussion about the future of the Bruins and what they're doing this year. They're going to have the two-headed monster, the two A's on David Pastrnak and Charlie McAvoy. They will not have a C this year. And I think it gives us some good time to evaluate who's who, because I've seen half the fan base say they want Pastrnak, the other half say they want McAvoy, and I think this is genuinely the best chance to evaluate who's going to be the leader going forward.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows Nikita Zadorov is going to be the captain. Which, shout out to him. Sidebar, congratulations on your hole-in-one. Like, that's crazy. Did you see that? Did you see he got a hole-in-one?
I haven't seen it, man. That's a good accomplishment for him.
Yeah, the Boston Bruins posted a tweet with Nikita Zadorov celebrating his ace, aptly named, as far as I'm concerned, for that. So, yeah. But I honestly, you had mentioned something when you were talking about Brad Marchand. You were talking about how this team is not at the same caliber of the teams that, Bergeron had those decisions to make with, and Chara had those decisions to make with. And I understand, like, there's been a lot of transition for the forwards, but and we talked about this countless times, I feel like, last season. We talked about it. I don't think this team is as bad as everyone else thinks they are. Like, the biggest question is going to be goal scoring.
Sabres here. This is not we will lose every single game and be an embarrassment to the city. That's not this.
They're not picking top 5 guys. Like, I know everyone is saying, oh, it's going to be a great draft. Like, the Bruins are going to have another top tier pick. The amount of pride that this core has, that Charlie McAvoy has, that David Pastrnak has, that
Jeremy Swayman has, that Hampus Lindholm has.
That's a great point. We'll talk about that in a bit. That last one you just said there.
Mm-hmm.
So they are not going to just fold it up like the Philadelphia Flyers. They are not going to fold it up like the Arizona Coyotes had for like 15 years of their existence. This team takes pride in wearing the 8-spoke B. And they are going to work their asses off to perform a better job. We've talked about it before. It was like a perfect storm of shit last season for everything to fall apart for this team. The coach was checked out. He didn't want to sign the deal. He already had that backdoor deal with St. Louis. I don't care what anybody else says. That's what I'm running with. He wanted to be the head coach of the St. Louis Blues.
Your goalie contract that we had the goalie drama.
The goalie drama. Jeremy Swayman didn't have a full camp and he never was able to catch up. There's that. You have your number 2 defenseman, Hampus Lindholm, who you just talked about, go down and never basically return from December. And when he went down, he was the best defenseman on this team.
And then McAvoy goes down in February and never comes back. Otherwise, Lindholm's playing with a back injury the whole year. Like,
these are massive players.
Yep.
Massive players on this roster, all down with injury.
This isn't just Johnny Beecher and Mark Kastelik. Like, these are big guys.
Just massive, massive players that are all out. And you have the coaching situation. You name an interim coach, which Joe Sacco, all the credit in the world, man. Like, as a guy that has started coaching myself in competitive situations, you're a smart man. Like, coaching. there's a reason why you haven't been an NHL head coach, buddy. Like, he's not an NHL quality head coach. He's not.
No.
If he was, he would have been hired to another NHL team at some point from now. He only got one other NHL head coach opportunity, and he won a Calder, or not a Calder, Jesus Christ, the coaching award for best coach because
Jack
Adams, thank you, for that, for drastically overperforming with the Colorado Avalanche. And then he promptly got canned the next season because they underperformed. Like, he's not capable. So now they go out and they have a new coach, which I'm excited about. You have Hampus Lindholm healthy again. You have Charlie McAvoy healthy again. You have Jeremy Swayman knowing he did not carry the weight that he needed to and knowing he needs to bounce back. You have Jonas Korpisalo in the backup that says, I'm good enough to get more fucking starts. I need to get more fucking starts. So you've got this guy pushing the pressure on the back of Jeremy Swayman. And then you have a David Pastrnak that does not want to miss the playoffs again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know it's the easy thing to say, oh, you're being a biased, you know, you're being rose-colored glasses, whatever. But I just don't see this team lying down and being a lottery team again, despite what everyone else in the NHL media thinks. I'll send it over to you.
No, I think this team has a little bit of fire, clearly. I think there's the perfect storm for a lot of good things to happen. And I think that leads into a good discussion about some battles that we're going to see in training camp, you know?
Yeah.
What the top six is going to look like. We already talked a little bit about who the top line center could be. Milstat, Zacha, Elias Lindholm. There's battles for wing spots. Morgan Geekie, I think, is clearly your top line winger here. He has to be on your left wing with Pastrnak. Victor Arvidsson, they picked up. Tanner Jeannot, they picked up. Mate Blumel, they picked up. Mikey Asimont. Like, there's battles up and down the roster for spots. Who's going to take them? Arvidsson, I think, is an interesting demo for the Bruins as a more shoot first forward. And it's something that the Bruins
100%.
really haven't had in a while. So I think as a shoot first forward, he'll be really interesting. At this point, I have him slotted in as a second line right winger because there just isn't the depth back there. Again, maybe Patra ends up on right wing and could surprise us, but maybe Fabian Lysell. I have no idea. But there's clearly battles going into this camp that, you know, these guys are hungry to not only make the team, but be good.
Yeah, no, 100%. And the other thing that's interesting for me is, like, it seems like it was abundantly clear with the front office that they were prioritizing players that want to make it more difficult for the opposition on a day-to-day basis. Like Michael Asimont, like Don Sweeney literally called this guy a pain in the ass in his presser when he was talking about the free agency signings. So, I mean, what does that tell you? I think I would probably pencil him in a fourth line role. And who's your fourth line center? I have Mark Kastelik there.
So Corrali. They just brought back the Corrali.
That's a great point. Yeah, Sean Corrali. Like, yeah. Well, maybe Kastelik is a right winger then. And like
Kastelik could absolutely be a right winger. What about Mate Blumel, who I heard from Stars fans, they are not happy that Blumel isn't in their system anymore. They think of him maybe as like a quadruple A kind of guy, but he's a guy who looks like he could be poised to take the next step. He is a phenomenal AHL scorer who is ready to take that step. That Czech connection, I heard that there were a couple of teams in on him. I think it was Pittsburgh and Winnipeg were in on him, and David Pastrnak called him and said, come to Boston. So clearly there's some pull there.
And when
Tanner Jeannot
is Tanner Jeannot, but I am looking. You know, it is well established that I am a knuckle-dragging Neanderthal when it comes to the Boston Bruins. I am stoked. Stoked. Contract is shit. I will acknowledge that. I will say it publicly. The contract is awful, but I am stoked to watch.
I just need Tanner Jeannot to not be last year's Nikita Zadorov. If Jeannot can be anywhere like 75% of what he was in his first year as a National Predator, like if I can get him to put 15 goals in, and 30 apples on the table, like I am a really happy camper. Even though the contract is shit, I'm a happy camper for that role.
You know what? I'll even say that the contract, I'll backpedal here. I know I just said the contract is shit. The contract's not that bad.
No, the contract is shit.
The term sucks.
It's the Zadorov. It is the Zadorov contract of this offseason, but
the term sucks, but the AAV is palatable on this guy. For a bottom 6 guy, you can handle this AAV, especially with the cap projections the way that they are. The term sucks.
I wonder if he ends up in a top 6 role. I actually think he might end up as far as like the second line left winger at some point in the season, knowing the way that they can be blended. Who knows?
I would much rather have Mate Blumel, who you just alluded to, as a top 6 winger, because seeing
Blumel
that guy's offensive ability,
I'm super excited for his profile.
He looks nasty. I watched so many like YouTube videos of Mate Blumel last year at the Texas Stars. That guy has like a scoring touch that I haven't seen on this team from anybody not named David Pastrnak right now. Like, and I know a lot of people that I've talked to are like, oh, Fabian Lysell. Even 98.5 Underground was talking about recently. The Bruins are done. They're tired of it. Like, they have given this kid so many opportunities. I mean, I'll preface this with saying they probably haven't given him as many opportunities as he probably deserved. But at what point does it fall upon the prospect to demand the opportunity, to command it? Make it not an opportunity for the Bruins to say no. Go out there and play your game and dominate. He hasn't done it.
It should have happened already for Lysell. At this point, I'm willing to consider him a bust. I'm going that far to say he's already a bust for me. This is how many years has he been pro? This is Is this his 3rd year or is this his 4th year pro?
I think it's 4th.
If this is his 4th year, it should already have been an answer with the profile that he was going to be the next David Pastrnak, that he had a great scoring touch. He was silky. He was a great skater. He has not made any push when he's been at the NHL level to make him want to stay. And he's been the 2nd or 3rd call-up. Patra lapped him as far as prospect ranking. Patra gets my call-up over Lysell any day of the week at this point.
Yeah.
I know last year we also talked about we feel after Merkulov. Merk kind of the same thing. Like, is Merkulov washed up enough right now to where, like, does he deserve an opportunity to even make this team? Or are there other guys like Marat Husnudinov, who I think was a great pickup by Donnie at the trade deadline? Is Husnudinov going to be the guy you want to go to? He's more versatile. He can be on either wing. I think he's your dude in that bottom 6 going forward.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And the thing is, for me, like, Lysell had so many opportunities, and now you have mainstream media people speculating that the Boston Bruins are actively done with Fabian Lysell. Like, I understand, like, Patra still, like, I feel like Patra, unlike Lysell, is a guy that makes the other players that he plays with better. Patra has that ability, that cerebral hockey sense to open up lanes that aren't there. I mean, and he also has the center over wing thing, right? Lysell is a winger, and Lysell is not scoring and contributing enough. Lysell was even scratched in the AHL playoffs. You're a healthy scratch in the AHL playoffs as a former first-round pick. What does that say? It says that this org is looking at other options, and it's probably time. You mentioned Merkulov.
They're a year apart in draft class. They're only a year apart in age, and it's remarkable to see the difference in the way that they've handled their pro career so far.
Yeah, you mentioned Merkulov, who was a pending free agent this offseason, and I was frankly shocked to hear that the Bruins managed to re-sign Georgi Merkulov. I honestly thought he would have gone literally anywhere else because he just hasn't been given the opportunity to contribute. And it's not like the Bruins were contending this season. You'd think you would have seen Merkulov in a prominent role every single game. Nope, it didn't happen. And I really was like, oh, this guy's going back to like Russia. And I know he's like got an American background and everything, but he also has the Russian heritage. I guarantee you he could have gotten a KHL contract.
Oh, absolutely. And made bank and gone and scored 30 goals in the KHL and been a happy camper. So I don't know what black magic Donnie used to sign Merkulov again and keep the system full with him. And I don't know what he sees in this team. I don't know what opportunity he sees. Maybe if he pushes really hard in camp, But seeing the signings that the Bruins have had, watching rookie camp, I was at rookie camp this year. There are guys who are going to make big pushes this year.
It's going to be a fascinating camp to watch. So before we do the training camp primer, I'm going to go ahead and send it over to our sponsors for this upcoming season. We got some new sponsors, baby. So give them some love. Dirt Skincare, Vital Ink Tattoos back. And when we get back, I'm going to give a shout out to my buddy as well. So we're going to send you over there right now. This season of the Two Pad Stack podcast is proudly brought to you by two awesome sponsors who keep us looking good and feeling even better, whether we're in the rink, on the mic, or watching puck drop at the Garden. First off, Vital Ink Tattoo. This is their second year of sponsoring the podcast. We really appreciate it. These guys are the real deal. I've gotten a bunch of tattoos from them, multiple artists. Seriously, I've probably lost count, and I already can't wait for my next session. They're based in Barrington, New Hampshire, and what sets them apart is how much they actually care about your comfort and making sure your ink is something that you can be proud of for the rest of your life. If you're into good vibes, witty banner, and working with real artists who get your vision, Vital Ink is absolutely the place to go. Tell them the Two Pad Stack sent you. Additionally, the Two Pad Stack podcast is proudly sponsored by Dirt Skincare. Dirt is designed for men who want a routine that's simple and effective. Whether you're blocking shots or braving Boston winters, Dirt keeps your face hydrated, healthy, and protected. Face the day like it's game day at the Garden and rub some dirt on it.
Game on. Week 1 starts now, and every touchdown brings you closer to a payout with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. This isn't just football. It's first touchdown fireworks, anytime TD rushes, and live bets that ride every momentum shift. At DraftKings, every play is your next shot to win. You think us talking about hockey season right around the corner gets us fired up? NFL season is right now, and if you're looking for lines and odds, head to the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. New customers, this one's for you. Bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, grab over $200 off to NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Your season starts now. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN to get $300 in bonus bets instantly when you place your first bet of $5 or more. Plus, over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, text 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, fees may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. NFL Sunday Ticket offer for new subscribers only and auto renews until canceled. Digital games and commercial use excluded. Restrictions apply. Additional NFL Sunday Ticket terms available at youtube.com/go/NFL Sunday Ticket/terms. Limited time offer.
All right. Yes. So thanks again to our new sponsors, as well as DraftKings, who is our partnership through THPN. As a reminder, we do also have our partnership with SeatGeek. So if you're interested in saving $20 off your first purchase, just go ahead and enter in the promo code 2PadStackPod. And that'll save you $20 off your first purchase with SeatGeek. So I mentioned I was going to hint a little bit about my buddy. He's not an official sponsor of the podcast yet, maybe in the future. But my buddy Cam, he is the owner of a company called Spicy Edges Skate Sharpening. If you can't tell, rocking the cap right now. So Cam runs a shop that sells sticks, skates. He does custom skate sharpening. He does all of my daughter's custom, skate sharpenings. He does a nice profile on them, nice hollow on the skates to help her be her best player. Does that for me as well. So if you're in the Seacoast, New Hampshire region, check out Spicy Edges. They're on Facebook. They're on Instagram. Check them out. So shout out Cam. See, I told you I'd say it, and now I've done it. So anyways, training
Let's also
camp.
not forget about DraftKings. They're the guys keeping us alive as we move on to our new network. So cool for them.
Yep. You probably already heard the DraftKings ad just now, but yeah, shout out DraftKings. Promo code THPN when you sign up, and that'll hook you up. But yeah, training camp is coming up. We already kind of touched on the Middlestat versus Pavel Zacha battle. I'm very interested in seeing who we have on the opposite side of David Pasternak. We already kind of suppose that's Morgan Geekie, who's had a prominent role in the Boston Bruins social media with Bear Tracks this offseason. So if Geeky gets slotted in at that one left wing role, what does the second line look like? So let's say let's just assume it is, you know, Middlestat, Pasternak, Geeky, number one line. Second line is going to be Elias Lindholm. I really do like the oh my god, my brain's not working. The winger we just acquired.
Arvidsson.
Thank you, Victor
Arvidsson
Arvidsson.
on the right wing, Zaka on the left.
Because they're the Swedish combo, man. They already played together on an international
Mhm.
stage. So, and I like that volume-based shooting that Victor Arvidsson brings to the Boston Bruins. So, who is the opposite wing from
Is it
Arvidsson?
Zaka at that point?
I feel like it's got to be. I do
Yeah.
feel like I give a lot of credit to Pavel Zacha for his puck distribution. I think for a winger, because he's also played as a center, he's a lot more cerebral than a traditional winger.
I could
think
see
I like that.
Lindholm and Zaka doing some overlap, maybe where they start off in the traditional roles, and as they come up the ice, Zaka maybe flips into the middle to be the distributor, get those 1-2s off to Lindholm. Let Lindholm do his thing. Let Arvidsson do his thing. I could see a really interesting combo there.
Yeah, I like that combo potentially, and then it opens up the question. You already kind of alluded to it earlier. Is Zaka even part of this team at that point? Like, because there's been a lot of trade rumors that the Bruins are trying to maybe acquire more draft capital for a player that maybe has a little bit of overlap with a middle stat. So it'll be fascinating to see. I think I'm tentatively penciling Pavel Zaka on the second line
I'm
wing
cool with
role
that.
there. And then third line, you have, like I mentioned before, we have our, center player. Jesus Christ, man, my brain is not working tonight. What is his
Fraser
name?
Minton.
Fraser Minton. Yes, Fraser Minton is going to be our third line center. As far that's my pick for 3C. I don't want to assume yours. Do you agree?
It could. I could see Patra taking that spot.
That's a good point.
Is Blue Mal officially a winger, or is Blue Mal center?
I have Blue Mel as a winger.
If Blue Mal's a winger in general, that's fine. Blue. I just see it forward everywhere. I don't see specific things. So yeah, I'll put Blue Mal on the wing. Maybe that works better. Yeah, okay. Blue Mal right wing. Yeah, okay. So Blue Mal on the right wing could be Patra. I think it will be Minton. I think Minton brings the bigger body that you're going to be looking for there.
Yeah, I like Minton and I like Blue Mel on this line.
And then you have to put Janelle on the third. Otherwise, what the hell are you doing paying Janelle to be a fourth liner for that money?
Maybe? I don't know. We're not a franchise that's above paying too much for a fourth line player. We've
That's
established that many times with David Backes and such.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hear what you're saying. And I'm not opposed to having a guy like Tanner Jeannot on this third line because I do think that he has some upside here, and that truculence can open up space for players. Like Fraser Minton's still a young guy, and he could probably get roughed up. But if Tanner Jeannot was on that line, you're probably going to think twice about smacking Fraser Minton in the face again, because Tanner Jeannot will mess your day up. He will. This is a guy that could probably throw, even in 2025, toe-to-toe with like Milan Lucic or some of the top tier guys. Like, this guy has thrown hands with the top tier fighters in this league. So, I mean, I like that with Fraser Minton. I like that with Mate Blumel, who's a European player that is not really used to the truculence. So I think that's probably a decent third line.
Yeah.
I like that. And then you have the fourth line. So you have Mark Kastelik, you have Johnny Beecher, you have Sean Corrali. Like, is that your fourth line?
Ready? Here we go. Your fourth line from left to right goes Marat Husnadinov, Sean Corrali, Mark Kastelik.
So
Beecher makes him not fit.
Beecher's a healthy scratch.
Yep, Beecher's a scratch. Asamont's a scratch. That's where I'm at. Tufty's a scratch.
Really?
Tufty you don't ever see.
No, Tufty's in Providence.
Tufty gets buried in Providence.
I think Asamont gets a regular role. I do.
Flips back and forth, maybe. Asamont does have that grit. He's got that Tampa dog in him.
Yeah, I like Asamont on the fourth line. I think
So
you're
what
right.
do you do? Is that
I was surprised Beecher even signed
based on how well he did in the first half of last year, and then fell off a cliff.
Yeah, I want Kastelik in this lineup. I think he earned that contract extension. I like that. Even if he's not at center, like put him on the wing.
I think you see Corrali and Asamont then flip in and out of the lineup. You see then Asamont move to the right wing and Kastelik centering, or you have Corrali centering and Kastelik on the right wing.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
But I think you have to have Husnudinov in there. I think he looked really good last year, and I think it's really strange that I don't see a lot of people have him penciled in there.
It's a good point. I mean, I feel like Husnudinov is like that one player everybody's just kind of like forgetting about. And he extended with the Boston Bruins this offseason. He said all the right things. He said he really enjoyed, him and his wife enjoyed being members of this team. And I feel like he did have a more offensive presence as soon as he joined the Boston Bruins compared to the entire time he was with the Minnesota Wild. So I think there's a lot of upside here. And every time I saw Husnudinov with the puck, I feel like he passed the eye test more than just the advanced stats and what the box score shows. He looked good at the NHL level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what this bottom six has in store for us. I think they could really throw us for a loop.
It's been quite a bit of time since I went into a training camp with this much uncertainty for the roster. And this is going to be a fascinating one to watch here. And we'll keep you posted as we hear more on the comings and goings. Chick, do you think there's going to be any PTOs for the Boston Bruins? I feel like there's enough people under contract that a PTO isn't necessary at this point.
I don't think so either. I think they're in good shape. I think there's a lot of battles that they have internally that they need to figure out. I don't think they need to throw more confusion into the fire here.
I agree. So we've talked a lot about the forwards. The forwards is the big question mark for the Boston Bruins this year. My question for you, Jake, is let's talk about the back end. So last season, we've already kind of alluded to it. McAvoy goes down. Hampus Lindholm was down for basically half the season. The Bruins bring in Henry Jokiharju to try to bring in somebody with some NHL experience to help stabilize this blue line. For a while there, it looks like Jokiharju is going to the free agent market. He doesn't get what he wants out of the Boston Bruins. He dealt with a really shitty team. I mean, I guess he's kind of conditioned to dealing with a shitty team with the Buffalo Sabres, but he ends up extending before free agency hits, surprising many people, myself included, that he elected to stay with the Boston Bruins.
It's a good deal for Donnie. I have to say that.
I like that. I like it too because he has a lot of NHL experience and he's not too old. I think he's only like 24 or 25. Anyways,
Dr. Google will help us quickly. He's 26.
Dr. Google, 26. Okay, I was close. I was 1 year off. All right. What does this decor look like? Like,
it's an easy one. It's Lindholm and McAvoy on the top, clearly. Zadorov and Jokiharju and Lowry and Peak. You put Lowry back in sheltered minutes. He's still a project that's got a way to go. You've got Peaker who'll shelter him. Jokiharju, I think, then slots in easily in between them. And you have to fit Zadorov in there somewhere. And bing, bang, boom, you're done. That's it. And then you lost Parker Wotherspoon as your 7th D, but you picked up a great 7th D in Jordan Harris. You picked up a great 8th D even in Victor Soderstrom. Soderstrom, to me, would have to beat out Andrew Peak to make this roster. And to me, that depends on what Peak's form looks like in training camp. Is Peak the same guy we saw last year where he was like, or he was injured and he was on and off and just like the rookie? Or is he the guy that from the year before where he was a stud on the PK? Nothing was getting by him. So Soderstrom could be a really interesting play. I think maybe he's more in playing the lineup than Jordan Harris, but I really like bringing Jordan Harris back to Boston. The kid who went to Northeastern was a Montreal Canadiens prospect.
Haverhill native.
There you go. So I think the Bruins actually have a nice plethora of depth at defense where I'm kind of not worried about it. I'm not.
Yeah, I
And I
mean,
think that's where people have the misnomer that this team's going to be bad. Like, you forget now you've got your top 2 defensemen back. Everybody's gonna be back in their traditional roles. The defense should be better this year and in a new system. So I'd be really happy to see Hammer and McAvoy get right back to where they were. These guys have had a lot of time to recover. I know the story, I think, came out over the summer about how McAvoy ended up injured was terrifying. I feel so bad for the dude going to the hospital, having to get basically like emergency treatment done in MGH with him and his baby on his way. Like, I feel so bad for him. So hopefully he's there mentally. He should be there physically. Hammer should be there physically. Zadorov should be there mentally this year. I think the new system's going to work better for him, I hope. But I'm much more confident in this defense than last year. And then I think what people have expectations for this year.
yeah, 100% agree. And I am really optimistic at what I'm seeing for this defense. You had the 32 Thoughts crew, Elias Lindholm over at the, um, Hampus Lindholm over at the European Media Tour for the NHL as the team preps for the upcoming season. And he met with Elliot Friedman, and he was talking about how it was such a bummer for him last season because he obviously had the block on his knee that ended up fracturing his kneecap. And he worked so hard to recover to try to get back and help his team, who was still on the bubble, right?
Mhm.
The Boston Bruins were still on the bubble when Hampus Lindholm was supposed to return to this team. And I really do think that a healthy Hampus Lindholm could have stabilized this team and they could have fought their way to becoming a really scrappy 8th seed in the postseason to fight
Absolutely.
against a team like the Florida Panthers or whomever's the top seed. I think the Toronto Maple Leafs, whatever. Anyways, regardless, and for one reason or another, the recovery just didn't happen the way it was supposed to. He got back on the ice, his leg didn't feel right, and he had to shut it back down. And when you're a competitor, when you're an athlete, where all you know is playing at the highest level, that takes a toll. Like
Mhm.
the emotional toll that took on Hampus Lindholm as he's cashing these massive checks to not do anything. He's sitting at home watching his team get fucking destroyed on almost a nightly basis. I bet it was just eating up at him.
Oh, absolutely. That's tough on a dude. Both of our top defensemen had awful years last year, and that's rough. So I hope that they come back hungry and ready to just kick the major ass this year because they've got a goaltender who needs their protection. Like, Swayman has a lot to earn back. I guess this is a good way to segue into our goaltenders, but Swayman has a lot to prove after last year.
100%.
His performance at the World Championships showed us he's still the same guy. He was unbelievable over the summer at the World Championships, won a gold medal. Is he ready for that true number one workload? Does what we saw, again, the same thing we just said about Elias Lindholm, is seeing what we saw from Swayman over the summer. Is he ready to take on 40 to 45 to 50 games a year?
Yeah, I think he is. I think he is. And obviously that's going to be subject to what we see in training camp. And I think that we should probably give Jeremy Swayman the majority of the preseason games, too. There's 8 preseason games. Show me that you are ready, that you have the entire camp to work with, that you are ready to play at a number one level. I'll give you 6 out of the 8 starts in preseason. Prove it to me that you're ready to go. Otherwise, your backup had arguably better start. Like his stats were arguably better than yours. And
Corby
he's a
was more
former.
consistent last year. Yeah.
I agree. I agree. Jonas Corposalo was more consistent than Jeremy Swayman last year. I'm not saying he wasn't without his faults. And I'm not saying that I think he deserves to be the number one. But we had 2 average goalies at best last season. give me a reason to give you the starts. That's what I'm asking you for. Jeremy Swayman, you have the contract. Go do it now. Now's your chance. Otherwise, you're looking at a trade. You are looking at whatever way the Boston Bruins can shed this contract, retaining half the salary and sending you to Edmonton. Like, this is it, dude. This is your opportunity. Otherwise, I don't know what this team's going to do. But I am confident that Jeremy Swayman will rebound and play at that same level that he did in the year that Linus Ullmark won the Vezina.
The knock-on effect that Swayman being really good this year could have would be impressive. It could lead you to trade Korpisalo and leverage him for more forward pieces. It let you bring up Michael DiPietro, who I am, again, what
Great point.
Magic have that they were able to re-sign Michael DiPietro, who could be your future 1A, 1B guy, and you're back to platooning. You have two phenomenal goaltenders on the roster. Like, the knock-on effect that this could have on this Bruins team if Swayman finds his form early on and maintains it is humongous.
100%. That's a great point. So DiPietro, that guy is another one, just like, Georgi Merkulov, that I thought was like already gone for other opportunities. Somehow they managed to extend Michael DiPietro. I thought Michael DiPietro was the most athletic goalie that I saw in Boston Bruins training camp in 23-24. I was very, very impressed. Granted, Jeremy Swayman wasn't in camp, but watching him compared to Korpisalo and compared to other goalies in the system, I was incredibly impressed with DiPietro, and I really was not surprised to see him outplay Brandon Bussey at Providence AHL and for him to grab that role as the number one goaltender for the Providence Bruins. But it also kind of was always something in the back of my mind. It's like, oh, well, his contract situation's a little bit of a stickler, right? Like, he's going to probably end up trying to find another NHL opportunity because he ended up being, I think, like the AHL goaltender of the year last season. Yeah. Like, there are good goalies in the AHL, like really top tier goalies. Like, we're talking like one of the top prospects in the NHL, one of the top goalies that's not yet in the league, like Yaroslav Askarov over there in the San Jose system. Askarov didn't win that.
Back and forth, who's really great for Washington.
Yeah, like really top tier goalies. They didn't win it. Michael DiPietro did. And this team is always incredibly rich. I feel like for the last 20 years, the Boston Bruins have considered themselves immensely fortunate on the goaltending riches that they've had with this team. Tuukka Rask. Let's go back even further. Andrew Raycroft, Calder Trophy as the goaltender. You end up seeing that he falls off. You trade him for none other than Tuukka Rask. Tim Thomas. Legendary performance in his 30s after being a journeyman. What do? You give that role back to Tuukka Rask, and he runs with it. One of the best goaltenders in the NHL level ever. What do you do after that? You go out
and gripe about him in this town.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's going to bitch about goalies. It's the easy thing to do, right? It's the same thing you do about pitchers in the MLB, I feel like. It's just the path of least resistance. But you go from Tuukka Rask to having the best tandem in the league with Linus Ullmark and Jeremy Swayman. Like, this team is these fans are so fortunate with goalies. And nobody ever will really recognize that. And I'm a Rask critic. Like,
yeah.
We probably deserved to win the cup in 19. We did deserve to win the cup in 19. We could have won it in 13. I can't
put that all on Tuukka. I'm not putting that on Tuukka.
No, I'm putting that on Brad Marchand and his line change in 19. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Florida Panther legend, Brad Marchand. That's right. I'm putting you on blast. Unbelievable. Man, if we got 2025 Brad Marchand in the playoffs in 19.
Yeah, we'd be lifting the cup. Like,
I don't want to be that guy to be like revisionist history or anything, but like, as I watched that entire, oh my God,
Torrey Krug was tricked. I'm still salty about the whole damn thing.
You give me 2025 Brad Marchand in 2019. We win. Because he had that chip on his shoulder. He had that I don't give a attitude. He was that traditional third line, fourth line Brad Marchand.
Yeah.
I'm so salty. I want the Boston Bruins to be my pallbearers when I die, so they can let me down one last time. That's probably a good cap here for this episode. Any thoughts before we wrap up here, Jake? Before we kind of pick things up with more training camp news and battles and stuff like that for episode.
I would say enjoy the warm weather while you can, but it hasn't been warm. The weather's already been saying hockey's here. It's right around the corner. They just put the new logo up outside Warrior. Ooh. So
Great.
I think Mother Nature's telling us, get ready. Hockey season's here, baby.
That's right. Yep. And guys, if you have any thoughts, make sure you follow us on YouTube. This podcast is being posted in video format. Throw in your thoughts on maybe some roster surprises or some battles that you think will be very interesting to watch in this upcoming training camp that's coming up really quickly here. But on behalf of Jake and myself, really appreciate your guys' continued listenership. We're glad to be back. We're going to continue to provide you some, I won't say great content here, but it's content. So make sure you click it and listen. But we'll be here and excited to be back affiliated with the Hockey Podcast Network. And until next time, Jake, anything else you want to touch on? You good?
I'm good, man.
All right, man. We're good. On behalf of us, we will see you next time. Peace.